Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Good, the Bad, the Sports. Let's jump right in to today's good news. Before we jump into today's episode, I thought let's do a special today and let's do a wheel spin. So what I have here is a wheel, as you can see, and I'm going to spin it once to choose our topic for the good news, another time for the bad news, and a third time for our big sports topic today. I thought this would be a good way to start the video, and without further ado, let's spin. And as you can see before I spin, we have baseball, NHL, NFL, golf, tennis, the NBA, trivia, soccer, and other. And other refers to something around the community, whether it be good news, bad news, just something around community or how athletes are coming together to help each other out. So let's give it a spin, and this will determine our good news for today. Let's see what we get. And for our good news, we have soccer. That's a perfect topic. As you know, the World Cup is going on right now. Now let's do another spin for the bad news. And our bad news is the NBA. And last but not least, the big sports topic of today is going to be the other category. And like I said, it's going to relate to something about community, and you'll see that in just a bit. Let's begin with our good news today. Now, for the good news, as you saw, the wheel has chosen soccer, and that fits perfectly into what's going on right now in soccer. And as many of you probably know, the World Cup is currently happening, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. One of the biggest events in soccer, the biggest event in soccer, and one of the biggest events in the world around sports. Some good news surrounding the FIFA World Cup include Cape Verde. Now, what's significant about this team is they're a very, very small island nation, and they were not seen as a threat by anybody, but they were put under the radar, and they were a Cinderella team. But after the draw, the miraculous and heroic draw against Spain, they were seen as a potential threat to other teams. And they have had 3 incredible draws in Group H, and they are now seeded in the round of 32 knockout stage, where they will hope to look and try and beat Argentina in their first match, which is going to be a tough match, but just incredible that a small island nation could get into the knockout stage, and let's see if they could progress. But just insane that they tied one of the favorites in Spain. Next, we have the DR Congo. In the DR Congo, they had a 3-1 win over Uzbekistan, and this was a comeback win. They were down 1-0 the entire game, and as you can see, they won 3-1, so they had 3 brilliant goals to get their spot in the round of 32, and now they will face England in the round of 32. So just another small team that not many people have seen as threats, and a team that could go all the way, like your powerhouses in France and Spain. Next, we have Lionel Messi. As many of you know, Lionel Messi had a hat-trick in the first game for Argentina. However, that is not all. Lionel Messi currently has 6 goals, and it just continues to break records every single game they play. And the Argentinian team is now 3-0 in the group stage, finishing first, and will play Cape Verde in their first round of 32. But look for them to go very far, and we'll see how they do in the round of 32 and the knockout stage, which is insane. Messi has 6 goals in 3 games, just absolutely bananas and wild, and just shows why he is considered the GOAT by many of the sport. Just incredible, and we'll see how many he can actually get in this World Cup, already breaking so many records, as I said before. But who knows, maybe he'll get to 10, double digits would just be absolutely absurd for Messi, but you never know with how good he is. So yeah, we'll see. We'll keep checking in on that.
Cape Verde advanced to the knockout stage with 0 wins, 3 draws, and they've sent two-time World Cup champions Uruguay home. An island of 600,000 people has produced one of the biggest group stage shocks in tournament history. The fairy tale continues into the round of 32. Can anyone stop them? Cape Verde.
Now, let's move on to today's bad news. For the bad news today, the wheel has selected the NBA. And if you didn't know, the NBA recently had the NBA draft. However, there's no bad news surrounding that. Just some big trades like Giannis Antetokounmpo. However, some big NBA stories include Paul George, 25 game suspension. He is the forward of the Philadelphia 76ers and was suspended for 25 games without pay because he violated the anti-drug program, which costs about $11 million to him, which is just crazy how much he got fined for his suspension, but shows that there are rules enforced in the NBA that you cannot break, which is good. And that's one bad news. Another thing is the talk of Ja Morant. Now, Ja Morant was seen coming up to the league as the franchise for the Memphis Grizzlies. However, he has done a lot of shady and bad stuff off the court, including there have been many incidents people have reported. And Ja Morant has also had a season-ending UCL elbow sprain, which definitely hurts his trade value, and this is just a scary blow to the Memphis Grizzlies, who saw Ja Morant as a franchise player and the face of the Memphis Grizzlies. However, they want to trade him due to all his history and his incidents and his season-ending injury. So we will see what happens with them, but just the bad news because they have to potentially get rid of a player who has so much potential but has really tarnished and hurt his career because of the stuff he does off the court. But we'll see what happens because they might have to get a lot less value for Ja Morant, even though he's such a talented player, just because, like I said, because of his history. But we will see what happens to the Memphis Grizzlies. And let me know down below in the comments if you think that Ja Morant will get traded and who would be a perfect fit for Ja Morant. I think any team could really use him as long as they jive as a team, because he is a very, very good player and he could really help win a championship and help be a face of another franchise if he cleans up his act outside of the game. But yeah, we'll see.
For Memphis, they've got to find Ja a ride out of there. I would say home, but they've got to find him a new home or he's going to stick around. It has been a rough market for Ja, and there's no signs that's changing.
When I say he has no value, I don't even think that's accurate. I think he's got what they call in the league negative value.
4 years ago, Ja Morant was the most exciting human being in all of basketball, and I am not exaggerating. This was a 6'2" kid out of Murray State, jumping clean over centers, throwing down dunks that made grown men scream into their phones, dragging a little Memphis team nobody believed in all the way to the top of the Western Conference. He was the future, not part of it, but literally the future. And Memphis looked at him and said, "You are our franchise cornerstone. Take $200 million and become the face of Memphis for the future." Today, his own team is shopping him around, and the wildest part is nobody wants Ja Morant anymore. I want you to...
For the big sports topic today, we got the other category from the wheel. And I thought, let's do something related to tennis, because tomorrow marks the beginning of a major event, a 2-week event called Wimbledon. Wimbledon is an iconic tennis event known for its grass courts and just a great event and a major tournament for the tennis known as a Grand Slam. Some headlines are being made about Wimbledon, including the number one Jannik Sinner and the number one seeded Aryna Sabalenka. Both were one seeded in the singles tournament for men and women, and they are looking to defend their titles and remain number one in Wimbledon. Sabalenka is trying to get her first major of 2026, whereas Sinner is trying to defend his title and try and keep the momentum rolling from past tournaments. But the biggest talk of the Wimbledon is Serena Williams and Venus Williams. Now, as you might know, Serena and Venus are both iconic tennis players to the sport and have really opened the eyes and are such influential figures in the tennis game. However, they are both getting very old and for the sport of tennis, and in their last years they were not able to compete with so many young 19 and 20-year-olds who were just hitting the ball way too hard and in great spots where they weren't in shape enough to get to those balls. However, they've been training hard and doing several different things off the court after they announced their retirement, and now they're looking to come back and play doubles together. So that's really exciting, and we'll see how that happens and if all their training and hard work will pay off, and let's see if they can progress far. I think they have the skills to go very far in this tournament, and I think they can beat anyone if they just play clean and if they did enough training to beat somebody young like a 19 or 20-year-old. But let's see how they do, and it'll be exciting to watch them and if they could progress very far. But yeah, let me know if you think they can go far. I do think they can. But yeah, that's for the big sports topic, and we'll continue to check in on Wimbledon as it will be going on throughout for the rest of June and into July for about 2 weeks. But yeah, another major event going on between the World Cup and the NBA Finals just finishing, and now the Wimbledon. So yeah, great stuff happening in sports, and yeah, that's all.